Bishulei ha'amud, on the bottom of the page, Yihiu l'ratzon, it should be as a will. Ratzon lomar beheichal ratzon. When we say Yihiu l'ratzon mefi at the end of Shemona Esrei, that is to say, it should go to the ratzon. That is to say, to the heichal ratzon. Sham tzarich liosim lefi. That needs to be where my words are. Dibur, the concept of speech, like we said, the concept of Hegai that even Esther needs. So the Dibur is lower than Hegai, so that's Imrefi, that's the Heichal Ratzon, but Hegyon Libi, that's the Hegai, Lefanecha Beheichal Kodesh Gadashim, in the Palace of Holy of Holies, Bechinas Hegai, Higayon. V'lechein Kohen Gadol mispalel tefila קיצור בבית החיצון ולא בהיכל קודש קדשים ושם רק הגyon libi. And that's why the Kohen Gadol prays the prayer on Yom Kippur, not inside the Holy of Holies itself, but in the outer part of the Holy of Holies, the Bebeis HaChitzon. Because inside is only the Hegyon, is not actual speech, but only words of the heart. Oh, higayon kemo dibur shememela, or you could say Hegyon is like a speech that's automatic, that happens automatically. And that's the concept of Shmona Esrei, when you say Hashem should open my lips and so forth, open my mouth, that it's, so to speak, Hashem doing it for you. That my tongue will just say after you what you're saying. Since the speech receives from supernal wisdom. Like Esther receiving from Mordechai. And back in the Mamer, anyways, it's a concept of like Esther getting that extra bittul. That's why she doesn't need the dibur, but of heichal ratzon, but she needs the shoresh dibur of higayon, of Hegai. Inyana hefresh bein bechinas panim bepanim uzman hagalos. The difference between the concept of face to face and the time of exile, shurak bechinas pinu elai oref. That's a concept that they only turned towards me the back of their neck. V'nikra nefila, and it's called having fallen down. Hashem somech noflim, but Hashem supports those who have fallen. V'hainu al yidei kiyum hamitzvos shenikra ozrim, and that is through the fulfillment of the mitzvos that are called helpers. K'mo shekosv Hashem li be'ozrai, like it says, Hashem was amongst my helpers, meaning the mitzvos, and Hashem is in the mitzvos. He's to me in my mitzvos. I guess. Ach machmas gasus nefesh habam is mafsik bein or hanimshach al yedei mitzvah. But since we have the coarseness of the animalistic soul that separates between the light that's drawn through the mitzvah, shu makif shelo yair b'nefesh elokis, which is this encompassing light that shouldn't shine into the divine soul, because the nefesh habahamis is, so to speak, a hefsek in between. Therefore you have to have another help through the rabbinic mitzvos, shehem kadesh atzmecha b'mutar lecha midoraisa, which is the concept of sanctify yourself and that which is permissible for you, and that is doraisa. That through this the animalistic soul is pushed down, and also through this you draw down an even higher light. And that's the concept of Achashverosh, Achash Shtika, that the Achash part of the word of the name is silence, say, like the concept of the negative commandments. Bechinas lo zarua, the concept of like eretz lo zarua, but here we're saying that it's planted with lo. It's zarua with the lo. Mamshich mi bechinas yudke, so you're drawing down from the concept of yudke, like yudke with shmi is shasa lo saseh, shenu musag, that yudke is not grasped. Siag lechoch mishtika, the fence for wisdom is silence. Katar li zeir, be silent for me a little. The concept of keser, mislabish bebechinas rosh, and this is enclosed. This level of keser is enclosed in the concept of the rosh. Lashon rosh vilana, from the language of bitter and poisonous. Lios ezer l'shchina, to be a help for the divine presence. Hamilubeshes begalos beklipos, that's enclosed in exile in the klipos. Shetis al lios chasida beroshim besa, that she should go up to be like the heron, that her home is in the broshim, in the tall trees, like the cedars or whatever. Ein Zohar Pinchas Reshut Zayin Beis. Look what says in Zohar Pinchas about this. I guess we compare Malchus to Chasida. And going up to the trees, to the elevation out of exile. Od Achashverosh al derech Eselo Ezer Kenegdo. Further, this concept of Achashverosh is like, I will make for him a help opposite him. Like the concept of black like a raven. So the concept of like darkness, achash from the language of darkness, that it's an opposite, it's a help opposite. And this is like the one who rules from Hodu to Kush. Like so I guess there's a connected idea of ani shchora ani v'nava. So what does it mean that you bring down the hod to all the way till Kush? Shnimshach or elyon nikra hod, that you draw down this high light that's called the hod. This labish b'makom hashachrus Kush, that comes to being clothed in the place of darkness, which is the concept of Kush, la'azur l'knesses Yisrael, to help the souls of Israel. So that's Achash Ferosh, the enclothment into the Chashchus, the darkness, to be a Shiur to Esther or Knesset Yisrael. ולזה הטעם היה אחר החורבן נשמות גבוהות כמו רשב"י וחבריו, and for this reason you had, after the destruction, very high neshamos like Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai and his friends. And we said he mentioned them before in context of Rabbi Chia Rabba and Rabbi Pinchas ben Yair, or Rabbi Chanina ben Dosa. And that's why it says, and when he was sitting on his throne of kingship, that was in Shushan, the whole sarav chulu, to all his ministers and so forth. And we said there was two concepts of Shushan. There was a Shushan Emekayoma, the Shoshana Samakim, and then you had the lower level of Shoshana Binachochim. So you have this concept of Shushan to all his ministers, and then you had the second level of to all the nation that was found in Shushan. These are the two concepts of the rose, Shoshana Samachim, Shoshana Bin Hachochim, which is this rose of the valleys and the rose amongst the thorns. Yom Tov Rishon Yom Tov Sheni Shel Galios, that correspond to the 2 days of holiday, the first day of the holiday and the second day of the holiday during exile. Val derech ze gam b'Megillah Yudalid livnei Yaros, and so too you have from below to above you have the Megillah on the 14th to the people in the cities, in the regular cities, Shehem Bechinas Shoshana bin Hachochim, and that's like a concept of the rose amongst the thorns, Ulivnei Krachim Kishushan, and to the people who are in walled cities like Shushan Asam Makim, you have this rose of the valleys, B'Tesvav, on the 15th, Musa, that the moon is found then in its completeness. Now on the opposite side, if you lift yourself up like an eagle, that you throw lots and so forth, when you have a tree that's nun amas high, but his being pushed down was also from there, from that height, and that's the concept until you don't know between Mordechai and Haman, that all the way from that height where there's no distinction between the good and the bad, from there Hashem pushes him down, Misham Nimshach Aror Haman, and from there is drawn the concept of the a curse to Haman, Losase, which is the concept of the negative commandments. Ubaruch Mordechai mitzvah saseh, and blessed is Mordechai, the positive commandments, vadelo yadai, and until you don't know the difference, ki mitzvos terabanan kluli min beis bechinos, because the rabbinic commandments are include both concepts, both the highlight of the negative commandments as well as the positive act of drawing down of the positive commandments. So you get both milas. So you can't tell the difference between whether or not you're separating the bad or drawing or blessing the good. Mordechai hu mishneh lamelech, and Mordechai is the second to the king, Achash, which is the concept of Achash, the silence of Keser. Ki Mordechai who Yisod Abba shemekabel memochas dima, because Mordechai corresponds with the concept of Yisod Abba, that receives from the hidden wisdom. Valkin Ratzoy Lerovechav, and therefore it says that he was desired by most of his brothers. Gam leneshamos akvaim, meaning to say, even to the souls that are of the heels, Shanefesh Bahamas Moshel, that the animalistic soul rules over them, Nikra V'rov, and it's called most of his brothers, so meaning to say all the way down even to the lowest. So on a positive light, meaning to say that he goes all the way down to the concept of Rov. V'rov b'chinas reshus harabim, and Rov meaning to say the many, the public property, she's hapech l'ratzon elyon, that should be ratzoi l'rovechav, that it should be flipped to divine will, that the ratzoi should go to the rovechav, lihiyos ratzoi chulu, to be wanted and so forth. Like it says in great peace, v'rav shalom b'nayich, by the shalom that the Talmidei Chachamim cause. Mibichinas Rav Nasa Shalom, and this is like the concept of Rav Shalom, that from the concept of Rav, of the many, Nasa Shalom, you make peace, and you bring it into Yichud, from the multitude. Fine, Masha Kazu b'makom Mordechai made a dachya. Look, what's brought in another place on Mordechai is this crushed myrrh. He slapped Shus Yisod Abba b'dachya misavin, which is the concept of the enclothement of Yisod Abba into those who are crushed and impure. And in order to draw down this light all the way, it's from a very high place. And that's from the concept of Achash, which is the silence, the concept of intellect as it is in its silence. Mochas dima, the hidden wisdom. So Mordechai was the L'chein Mordechai HaYehudi Mishneh LeMelech Achashverosh. Therefore, Mordechai the Yehudi was second to the king of Achash and so forth. He brought down this hamshacha of Achash downwards into the Rav, into those who are dachya. He was the mirror for those who are crushed and impure. Torah Shebal Peh Nikra Ezer. And this paragraph all seems to be a קיצור of the Mamer. Torah Shebal Peh is called a help, ki Ezer zeu samach, because a help is a concept of support. Vehein samich mesachtos, and that is, and there are 60 mesachtos. So, and the 60 is the samach ve'ezer, shein bechina samach ve'ezer, which is a concept of a support and a help. V'zeu eselo ezer kenegdo, and that's what it means that I'll make for him a help opposite him. The concept, the Torah Shebal Peh is like the feminine aspect in comparison to the Torah Shebechsav that's masculine, and therefore it's like a concept of the helpmate to Adam. Ki Torah Shebechsav zeu bechinas Adam, because the written Torah is like the concept of Adam. V'ha'ezer Torah Shebal Peh, and his help is the oral Torah. Ulechein gamkein ratzoi l'rov echav, and therefore he's desired by most of his brothers. Like the concept of that if he merits, the Torah becomes a medicine of life for him and so forth. And similar to the idea of lo zacha, so it doesn't, and similar to the drasha of Ezer Kenegdo, that if he's zocha, she's an Ezer, and if not, it's Kenegdo. So, but the Isha can be in Ezer and Samach, as just like the Torah can be a Sam Chaim.